Hello everyone, my name is Rosencrantz and this is Guildenstern and we are very much still alive.
Just kidding, it's Aaron and Ari here. Welcome back to another episode of a podcast where two theatre people who are fairly unqualified in theatreness talk theatre.
If you're just joining us, my name is Aaron and this is Ari, and we are two creatives who are working on a show at the moment, and this is our way of kind of documenting our creative process as we work through the play that we're writing. The play is called We'll Meet Again. It's about two people stuck in an underground bunker, kind of pertinent to the current time that we're living in.
Yep.
But yeah, so if that's interesting to you, join us along. But yeah, so that's who we are and what we do. On with the show. This is not an episode I would want to miss if I was a Spotify listener, because like I feel bad for all those people listening on the audio version who don't get to see this wonderful new location we're in.
This is true. We're in a fun new location.
So we just figured we want to address that up top for all the YouTube viewers. And if you're on Spotify and you don't know what we're talking about, maybe now is the time to migrate over. Listen to some of the extra stuff. Yeah.
Location. Not really intentional location.
Nope.
We really pulled this together last minute.
Yeah. Honestly, I think it came along pretty well.
I kind of like it. I like the fact that these pillows are unintentionally color coordinated with our theme.
Planned.
So there you go. It was very intentional, not.
Yeah, we've been pressed for time because someone decided to go and get COVID real quick.
Yep.
Yeah. So we've been set back a week or so.
Yeah,
which is okay.
yeah. Which actually I think worked in our favor in many respects. Don't go out there getting COVID.
No.
And thank goodness I had it fairly mildly, but thank goodness for that in some respects, because now we're more back on track. I think, and this is something that's worthwhile talking about on this kind of platform, we got a bit ahead of ourselves in terms of actually recording episodes, and in many ways that kind of set us further back in rehearsals, because we would sort of record podcasts knowing that like we were pretty much like 2 or 3 weeks ahead at one point. Yeah. And we were saying, right, so we'll talk as though we're at this stage in our rehearsal process, which we weren't. Assuming
that we would rehearse within the next couple of weeks, which ended up not happening.
And then I got COVID, and we ended up 2 weeks, So now we're actually recording the week that we're going to upload this video, which is fantastic. Cause it means
week before.
But like it's the week off.
Yeah, sorry, it's the week off.
It's coming out this Sunday.
This isn't coming out this Sunday.
Yes.
This is coming out next Sunday.
Oh.
We have another episode coming out this Sunday. So we're a week behind. But this is a good thing, because then I can't edit things in 4 days. Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
But now we're not that far behind
We're
anymore.
not ridiculous amounts ahead. We're not ridiculous amounts ahead anymore. So you're not getting content that is us kind of, predicting what's going to have happened in or into the future.
Yes.
So
and you'll hear that in some other episodes of where we're like,
this is in March,
what
February?
month is this? Are we rehearsal? What is this? So yes, so sorry about that.
So coming clean, we have been recording a fair bit in advance. We no longer are where we're recording 1 week in advance, which is good. That's right. Yeah, we're recording 1 week in advance to give Aaron time to edit.
Yes.
And I think that's much better in terms of actually being honest to ourselves about where we're at in our rehearsal process. So COVID was a curse and a blessing.
It was, and it was also the case where like our theatre segment was starting to stagnate because we weren't rehearsing as often, and we were struggling to find things to talk about. But we have done stuff since then, which is good.
And we, I guess in terms of the theatre segment, we had a big, while I was in COVID lockdown and we couldn't do much rehearsal because of the Zoom element, we did a big sit down, and planned out everything in calendar form, which we'd been putting off for a very long time, I think. Or we hadn't, not that we were putting it off, we just hadn't realized the importance of it. Yep. And so we've sat down, and on a shared calendar, we've put in all the dates, all the times, all the due dates, major milestones that we want to hit for this kind of project. Those things, will include
like
lines being
performance dates and stuff like that as well.
We projected possible performance dates, due dates for line learning, due dates for all the tech side of things, recording, any kind of multimedia stuff that we need to add in. And now we've very much got this needs to be done by this, because at the moment prior to that, we were very much operating on what will be, it will happen when it happens, no rush, no stress. But I think that was starting to become a little bit too lax for us.
Because we started to slack off, which we didn't want to do. And so having it all scheduled and in time and set up basically for the next 2 or 3 months, which is still fine. We put into account the stuff that we would probably also be doing in the time uni for me and other work for you and stuff like that. So we even with those new variables in terms of time commitment, we should still be able to hit all the markers we hit.
And I
So
think that's what's important about having those markers, because we are going back to other things. There's going to start having other life things and events, and because it's just the two of us, it's very easy to be forgiving to ourselves, and like, not that we shouldn't be forgiving, but it's very easy to be like, oh, it's okay, we'll push it a week back, or it's okay that we don't know this, or haven't worked that out, or haven't rehearsed this week, because the reality is this is a show. We have to treat it like any other show that we would be doing, which would require weekly rehearsals, which would require us to be learning lines, you know, in a sustainable manner, and, you know, getting certain deadlines and tech dates, and bringing people in when we need to bring them in, and not pushing this all back, which we definitely were starting to do. So the good news is we're more on track now, and we have a better, more concrete idea.
Trucking along.
Truck encounter?
No, there's just the one. I'm not going to make a counter just for the one.
So it's we're in a much better place organizationally than we have been in the past. And I think we have COVID a little bit to thank for that, in terms of it kind of made us realize, you know, how turbulent everything can be, and how important it is to sort of set ourselves a few more concrete goals.
Yep. And I think it is important as well, as much as we talk about creative work on a level of fun and enjoyment, but scheduling it like any other job is also incredibly important, because as much as it is fun, it still requires the dedication and the time commitment as anything else that you do. And I think we were definitely kind of easing back onto that idea of, well, you know, this is just a fun thing for us. We don't need to get anything done in time. It's more like we'll set ideas of things that might happen, like we said March at some point that we'd have performance wise, and now it but anyway, but that's fine. Like, I think that we really had that kind of snap point. We were like, oh, hang on, we can't be thinking like this anymore.
Otherwise,
like,
it's going to go on in
exactly.
like November.
We're just going to keep pushing.
It's just going to go and go and go.
I mean, and it's the same thing that happened with Faith and like our other project, was we had that same kind of mindset where it was like, oh, well, I guess we'll just kind of...
when it happens, it'll happen eventually.
Yeah, and we'll see how it goes, and we'll see how it happens. And that ended up being, you know, a much longer process, I think, than if at the like earlier on in that creation stage we set aside times and things like that. So I think that was a great learning experience for us in terms of just how much commitment we need to put into organizational,
and how much process is actually important, and like staging that process and being really explicit about what needs to happen and when it needs to happen. So that's our little lesson to ourselves, and our little note to take for all of you guys, that it was really important, and I wish we'd, you know, realize sooner, but at the same time, I'm glad we now know. Yeah, we realize. So next time we start something, we'll be like, okay, let's sit down. Whoa, that was loud. Let's sit down with a calendar. That was a backward hand clap as well. Let's sit down with a calendar and actually give ourselves some kind of deadlines. Yeah. And now I'm thinking, like, talking about deadlines, I feel like at the start, we probably talked about deadlines and wanting to be really quite flexible with deadlines. And I think there's always that desire to be very flexible with deadlines until you get into the project and you realize that the more flexible the deadlines, the more stressful it becomes, and the more confusing everything gets, and and actually deadlines are kind of useful, as much as I kind of hate, you know, things having to be done by certain times and there being rules and stuff. I think there's a way to have healthy deadlines. I think we've done that.
There's the balance.
Manageable, healthy deadlines.
Manageable, healthy deadlines where there's because you can't just either have no deadlines and have things never been done, or set a deadline for next week and be disappointed when you can't hit it. So I think we have set a really good kind of healthy level of, and also like breaking it down into manageable steps, which I think is also really important in creative work. As much as like we're thinking about this very kind of systematically and logically for a creative work, I think it is vital to have that same sort of project as you would, you know, that's the same way I'm taught in like IT management, the way in which you break down project tasks around things of like, you have to get this done by this date, and then it all feeds out. It's much easier than saying I need to have this project done by March. Instead being like, we have to have the whole thing blocked by 3 weeks from now, or lines learned 2 weeks from now, and things like that makes it much more manageable to finish, rather than just, we'll put the show on in March and see how it goes. So,
exactly.
Useful. The other thing of having really good guidelines in terms of time is bringing people in becomes much easier, because we can like give people specific times of being like, well, if you can make it to this rehearsal, well, at least the other person that we've been talking about bringing into this process with us, if we have specific times, we can then work with that person and be like, hi, if we can get you in by this date, recorded by this date, you know, things like that, or like, you know, talk to like lines worked out character wise and all that is important. So having a timeline for those kind of things as well makes the rest of the process as we branch out from just the two of us become a lot more strict and a lot more set in stone, which is really useful.
Yeah, totally.
Next week, from the time of this recording, is the week that our time becomes strained, I think. So from that point, we're going to really see just how much that's when the test comes. We put our scheduling really up to the test as we see just how much of our time management was good and was
have
useful.
Have we optimized it?
Yeah, have we optimized it as well as we could? And I think we've been okay. We've been working on a couple of other projects as well. That theater company that we work with are currently making 2 movies, which I've been kind of tasked to help production-wise with. Which, I mean, I've been talking on the podcast before about how, like, I want to stretch out myself this year directing-wise and putting myself more behind, the camera as well as the stage, and working on creating things and submitting them to festivals. And then this theater company that we work with comes out and are like, oh, we want to make a movie and submit it to festivals. And I'm like, oh, yes, please. I will help, please. So it ended up really working out. So, I mean, and on that point, like, this comes first. Like, you and I have this show that we want to make. What's
Sorry, I'm in my head again. I'm in my head. I'm just laughing before you said behind the camera as well as behind the stage, and I'm like, oh, so you want to do more like stage managery stuff? I thought that wasn't your vibe, because like behind.
Oh yeah, that's fair. Okay, that's.
And then I was like trying to process that, and I was like, wait, what do you mean? And I was like, oh, you just mean on the stage. I don't know why. That took me so long
I didn't
to get
mean like.
in my
I just
head.
meant like not acting. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Because you like was behind the camera, but
behind the stage.
I understand where you might have been confused.
I was.
But
it took me a really long time. I didn't really hear anything you said after that because I was you know how when you like re-say something in your head to try and work out what the person meant?
Yes. No.
And it took me that entire 30 seconds to work out what the other. Sorry, continue.
No, that's stage managing is a tough gig.
Yeah.
I did stage managing
Kudos
once.
to all those stage managers out there.
Man.
You have it hard.
That's a tough gig, and I feel sorry for the project that I stage managed for, because I mean there was 3 stage managers on that show, because 2 of us were like kind of trainee stage managers.
Trainee stage managers.
And then we were
assistant stage managers.
Yeah, that's probably the right term.
Probably then.
It was our first time stage managing, so I thought of myself as actually assistant's probably the right term.
But such fun. Yeah. I haven't done anything behind the stage as Aaron.
Yeah, as behind the stage, but it's not. So all those people out there who do the work that never gets seen or praised, we're praising you now. Thank you, stage managers.
Yeehaw!
Anyway, so to catch you up,
go back.
It was just like, so I've been wanting to do things in festivals and submit things this year, and this theater company was like, well, we're going to do that with big movies, and I was like, great, sign me up.
Cha-ching, cha-ching.
So, that should also still not eat into our time, but I again, it's this problem that I have of just moving on to the next thing before finishing the kind of thing. But I like this, and you're going to hold me accountable for this, and I know that you will, and I'm also going to hold myself accountable to make sure that this project still takes priority over that one, and that there is no point where that project eats into the time of this. Like, we still have a timeline for this show, and it's going to go on, and I'm going to rehearse when it can. And if they go, oh, we need you to come in during one of the slots, I'm going to be like, I can't do that day, because this is priority number 1. And that's fine. Like, I think that's an important thing as well. It comes back into this idea of prioritizing time. It's also prioritizing everything else that you do. And even though this is done in our off time, this should still be the top of the priority of things to do in our off time. Like, I've noticed for the past like 3 weeks, like, my YouTube channel has stagnated because I've been editing for this, which hasn't been fine, but I'm like, this is priority. I want to make sure that this is great before anything else that I do with my spare time. So that's another important thing to think about like, just how much you have to put in, commitment-wise and time-wise. But
yeah, it will be interesting. I think even like, and as you say, like the next week, the week after that we're recording at the moment is going to be when things start getting a bit, more crunchy, and definitely for me as well, like, I mean, if and when I eventually get a role in something, which is looking slightly more likely, I don't know.
Looking up.
I got into the final round of some auditions for a featurette, so... A
featurette?
It's called... They called it a featurette. Yeah.
So what is that in definition?
Between 40 minutes and an hour, rather than like a feature film.
Yeah.
So...
Interesting.
That is a potentially
like a
occurring... Yeah, like a novella, like literally. Yeah. Like Smurf, but Smurfette. Wait, no, that's not how that works.
So a featurette is a feminine film. Feature.
Well. No. So that could happen, but I'm trying not to get my hopes up. I'm like, But like, you know, when things like that start happening, managing time is going to turn into like the most confusing thing ever.
Juggling lots of things.
Juggling all the oranges.
So many oranges.
Too many oranges. Get your oranges here. Sweet, juicy oranges. I think it's a line from something.
Yep, I was about to say, I'm like, what is that from?
I feel like it's a line. I don't know where it's from. I have no idea. There are no oranges.
Is there no oranges in Mother Courage?
Whatever it is, if you know what it is, it's a line.
Yeah,
from
leave it
something.
in the comment below.
I definitely said it as well. I think it was me, so it's something that I've done.
I can hear you saying it, unless I just heard you saying it, and now
you think it's I don't know. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's not related.
Nope.
Do you have anything other theatre-related news this week? I'm out, to be honest.
I mean,
COVID
so.
occurred for me, so I haven't really
You've been watching a lot of Friends.
I've started watching Friends. This is a bit sinful. I haven't watched Friends, but neither has Aaron. So get angry at him before you get angry at me. But I'm up to season 6 now because of my incredibly long COVID lockdown and lack of other things to do, and also feeling quite lethargic. I watched a lot of it, and it's very funny, and I had a good laugh, and I'm still having a good laugh, and that's probably what I'm going to do in my spare time when I'm not prioritizing this.
Well, to summarize, as I've been doing for the past couple of weeks now.
What's the quote for the
quote
week?
of the day? Don't watch Friends. Work on your play. It includes the quote of the day because that's a rhyme, right? The quote of the day: don't watch Friends. Make sure that you work on your play. No, hang on.
Mine's eat fresh and have healthy organized. What did we say? We were talking about healthy something.
Time management.
Healthy time management. That's
what does eat fresh have to do? The Subway.
Oh yeah, Subway. Eat fresh.
I don't know. We were talking about food today, were we?
No, we weren't.
So where did eat fresh come from?
I don't know. I just like the sound of it, but that's probably because someone already invented it.
Yeah, it's a very famous
No, my
tagline.
quote for the day is have healthy organizational habits like watching Friends in the bath. Wait, no, not Friends, the TV show in the bath. I feel
like that's that's worth clarification. Hey, buddy, just wondering if I could watch you in the bath real quick. It was this podcast recommended it to me. They said it was a good thing for me to do.
Friends, the TV show, while you're doing something relaxing. Doesn't have to be in the bath.
It could be anything relaxing. Maybe drinking some tea.
Yeah, tea's good.
Maybe having some food. Maybe
eat fresh. I'm telling you, eat fresh is the
eating
quote
a
of the week.
Subway. Yo, Subway, if you want to sponsor us.
Oh my gosh, every week we do a sponsor plug.
We aren't predators, which I think is. Do you know about that?
No.
So Jared, who was a spokesperson for Subway, turned out to be a sexual predator.
Jared when I applied to work at Subway way back when I was a little tot, I think I was like 16. I applied to work at Subway, and someone called Jared messaged me.
It wouldn't have been that Jared. Oh, maybe it was that Jared. But yeah. So we're up. Eat that, Jared.
Anyway, that's all for our theatre segment. If you're on Spotify and you want to hear us chat a bit longer about Jared from Subway, no, don't worry, that's not what we're going to be talking about. Head over to our YouTube channel, links in all of the things that you can find links in.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's in the things.
Otherwise, we'll see you next week for more theatre fun, where we'll meet again.
I'll be honest, I didn't know what you were doing there. I was like, you said where, and I don't like.
Every time I try and make it clear, I look at you. I'm like, this is the end. We're ending now. I can't. Unlike you, I don't conclude 3 times. It's like one conclusion. It's like, okay, that's enough. We wrap it up.
It is a problem that I'm like, okay, that's it. Oh wait,
I have noticed you do conclude a lot, many times.
That's what she said.
Yeah, because I always remember
drag
things.
On a little bit.
That's what she said.
No, remember things after I say goodbye, and it's the thing that I hate because whenever I'm like on the phone to someone, which is rare because I don't call people nowadays, but I'll be like goodbye, and then as I go to as like the phone is going from my ear to the ground, I can hear them say something, but by then I've already hit hang up, and
but usually it's just goodbye back.
No, but sometimes it's like and I'm like
yeah,
and I'm just like they'll call me back, and then they
if
don't.
It's important.
If they really wanted to say something, they'll just call me back.
Wait, I just put it in message form.
Yeah, that's true.
Be like,
blah, 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 by the way, I just wanted to say goodbye. But
goodbye
anyway,
again.
Goodbye for the second time.
Yeah. Yeah, phone calls. No one does that. Actually, I called you quite recently.
Yeah, because you were in
and
COVID.
you picked up. And no, this is actually after an audition. I had an audition.
Oh,
and
yeah,
I
that's right.
So I wanted to debrief. And so I messaged
That's right.
Aaron. I was like, are you free? Forgetting that he does have a life and does other things. So I just replied to my calls.
It's
He's
been
like,
a
yeah,
very
give me
busy
15
weekend for
minutes
me.
or something. And I was like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever. And he picks, he calls. And I answer. And I hear, catch it! Yeah! And I was like, what the heck is going on? And I was like, maybe he butt dialed me accidentally. And then you're like, are you there? Are you there? Sorry, Sri Lanka just took a catch. And I was like, oh, trust.
I'm sorry.
And he was at the cricket.
I was at the cricket.
I was deeply confused. I was like, wait, who is this? I was like, is this Aaron?
No,
have I just
that's me.
answered a call to someone that I should not have answered a call to?
No, it was...
It
it was the worst timing. It was just sat down as well. But, I was at the cricket. This is a great story. I was so happy because there were these kids behind us who were like there with their dads. And they were like, banging on things and yelling, and they were having a good time, but they were rowdy children. And I was like, whoa, these rowdy kids, man. And I was like, oh, whatever, they'll be fine. And their dads had to confiscate their because they had little fans that they were just whacking on the seats in front of them that were making a racket. Yeah. The dads were like, no, that's enough of that. And I was like, thank you for being a responsible parent. But at the start of the second innings, when Sri Lanka came out to bat, they had set up all the fireworks on the field, right? And so the batsmen run out and the fireworks go, and it's like, and there's smoke everywhere. And the kids behind me goes, isn't that really bad for the environment? And they're like probably 6 or 7 years old. And I was like, these kids.
I know.
And I didn't say anything, but I was waiting, and the dad's like, oh yeah, but they do it as like kind of like a celebration thing. And the kids are like, so you're saying that the celebration is more important? Like, you're killing a tree for that? And I'm like, God. These kids? I was like, you know what?
Kids.
I take it all back. They can be as rowdy as they want. They've earned it. And I was like, what are we doing?
As long as they keep talking about the environment, you be as loud as you want.
I'm like, that we've done well. I say we as if I've done anything, but the collective
that's really
to teach our kids that the fireworks of the cricket maybe aren't necessarily worth the fireworks and the polluting of the air and everything.
Yeah,
and I'm like, great work, education system. You're doing something right. So I thought that was a nice little thing. And for them
to be that young as well, and clearly it didn't necessarily come from the parents either, because the dad didn't the dad wasn't like agreeing.
Yeah, it was from like a kind of.
It was like,
but
why,
this.
So it wasn't coming from them, which means it's probably coming from either like other kids or the education system, which is really cool.
But the kid was so kind of confused by it because he was like, but why? Like, that's not good for the environment.
That's
like,
so cool.
You're sacrificing all that for a bunch of fireworks. And I was like, this kid. I turned to my brother. I was like, this kid knows what's up.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm like,
kids are so honest. Kids are so like literally like so real and like so much more honest than. I did an audition with a kid. Like my callback. I had a callback with a 14-year-old or something. And it's just so fantastic working opposite one. I haven't really worked with many like. Other than when I was a kid, I haven't actually worked with a kid.
Yeah, that doesn't count. You work with people your age.
That's my point.
So
like, exactly. I haven't worked with someone significantly younger than me because I tend to be the youngest in all of the acting things I've done.
That's true, yeah.
So for the first time, I was actually working with someone who was a fair bit younger than me, and like just so much maturity. Like, which is so weird to say. Like, so much more mature than some of the adults that I've worked with.
Really?
From a standpoint of just like. Discipline, understanding, and just like openness, like literally just openness and the ability to be like there with someone else. And I was like, wow, you could so easily have like laughed or poked fun or broken out of character or any number of things, but you just sat there, with it. And so kudos to all the, children out there that are doing awesome things, because you're doing better than some of the adults.
We love kids.
And
wait, no, we're not Jared. Not Jared
from Subway.
Doing a great job.
I'm so impressed. So
Shout out to all the youngins out there doing God's work.
Saving the environment one firework complaint at a time.
Because now that kid's gonna grow up and they're gonna be a firework technician and they're gonna quit their job and be like, this is wrong.
Yeah. I gotta say, I did have a look at how to become a qualified pyrotechnics person the other day. I'm not kidding. I watched a YouTube video where they were doing
quarantine must have really hit you hard.
Quarantine hit me so hard. I was Googling all the possible career paths, and I was looking. I was like, yeah, I could do pyrotechnics. I was obsessed with Mythbusters as a kid. Like, that was my thing. That was my jam. Still is. But yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I could blow stuff up and like cool fireworks. But yeah, also the environment. Probably shouldn't, invest too much of my energy into being pyrotech. But to all the pyrotechnicians out there, cool job, dude.
Cool job.
Can I be a cool
We gotta find a way
pyrotechnicer?
to like, be ecologically sustainable in our firework technique.
Yeah.
We gotta find a way to have balance both, because fireworks are cool.
They are.
We can't deny that they're cool.
How cool is it? I mean, not how cool is it? How interesting is it? Like normal, like when I think of like how a 6 or 7 year old would react to fireworks, I'd think like, whoa, look at the fireworks. But for them to be like, that's really bad for the environment,
it's like,
bro.
What's all the smoke? Like, that's really not
like,
good, mate.
That's so anyway, the environment. Hey.
Yeah.
Save it. Do stuff.
Do what you can.
Stuff.
But yeah, pyrotechnic. I mean, you say when you were a kid. I feel like I don't like saying when I was a kid I liked this.
Oh,
unless
yeah, true.
it's changed.
I still enjoy fireworks.
Because
I mean, I was just saying like I expect a kid to be like ooh and ah. I still go ooh.
But even
and
like for Mythbusters and stuff like that.
I'm still a very ardent fan, other than the fact that they don't exist anymore.
Rip
Rest
Mythbusters.
in peace, Grant Imahara.
Oh yeah, that's like
an actual
tragedy.
Rest in
like
peace.
actual rest in peace.
Like actually.
Yeah.
Let's not start crying just right now.
No.
I was going to take a drink and I didn't take a drink because I got sad. have another drink.
Gotta hydrate because the tears are gonna start flowing. But it's like when people say like, oh, if I was a kid, I think this is great. Mm-hmm. I think that's just defeatist. I think everyone should still be able to enjoy anything. And like the fact that I write my Star Wars movie and I'm like. It's not like a case of, if I was like 10 years old, this would be cool. I'm like, no, I'm 21 and this is sick. Like, I'm not going to just be like, if I was a child, this would be cool. No. I think adults should be more willing to embrace the inner, the fun, the inner child in them and not feel so like, I can't like this because I'm an adult now. That's BS. You can like whatever you want. And I encourage everyone to like everything that they like because...
Yeah. Unless it's children in a not
no.
Not like Jared.
That's not what I meant. But
Don't be Jared.
Man, we spoke about Jared a lot more than I expected to.
I didn't know who Jared was before this.
I know. We've come on a full journey. We've been a full
educated.
Jared. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
Anyway.
Embrace your inner child.
Other than that.
But how was your isolation period? Like, how did you find that whole process of being stuck?
Terrible. I mean... Yeah, I'm grateful in many respects that I wasn't as sick as I could have been.
For sure.
I think it would have been so much harder to manage probably if I'd been really, really sick. But the actual isolation process I found really, really hard. Like incredibly not fun times. I think that's just a character quality, like a me and the character quality thing where I'm not very good at being stuck in one place.
Yep.
I did do most of my quarantine in my room as well until the rest of my family unfortunately got COVID. But yeah, so I was very much in a very small space for a very long time on my lonesome with not much outside time, and I do really enjoy outside time, turns out. So yeah, it's like a whole mind battle though, I reckon, being in isolation, because on one end, it's not like I'm doing anything vastly different from what I normally would do. It's just the knowledge that you can't go outside as well. And just how long you have to just be stuck inside.
You don't realize how much you want to do other things until you don't have that option anymore,
And now even I feel myself, I went for a swim this morning because I was like, oh my gosh, the outside world, I want to do all the things that I haven't done for such a long time. I want to go everywhere and do everything. But, I mean, I guess it's given me more appreciation for things like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah. ISO's hard. So if you're out there doing ISO,
binge our podcast.
You got this. Yeah. But also just I don't know, it was so important to try and concentrate on me.
Yeah.
But also really, really hard because it's just you and yourself and you're on your lonesome and you just have to put up with the world.
You sent me a message early on about how you wanted to have a productive isolation.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know whether that ended up happening.
No.
But that's I sent you a text back and I was like, don't put that pressure on yourself because it's just gonna be hard because it's gonna be a difficult time anyway. And if you're on top of that, you're saying I have to make sure I use this time wisely and not watch 6 seasons of Friends.
Which is very wisely.
Yeah, but that's what I'm trying to get at here is that in a situation like that, you should never feel as if your time is being wasted because you're not wasting time. You're merely just trying to make yourself feel better in a bad situation. So no matter what you do, as long as you're feeling happy about it, that is successful use of time. You're not wasting anything, and that's productive, in my opinion.
I definitely, that would be my advice to anyone out there in ISO. Don't do what I did and say, I must have a productive ISO. And I said things to myself like, I'm going to write a whole play. Did I write anything? Actually, I opened a Word document and I wrote the name of one character who happened to be Sash. Don't know where I got that name from. With a colon, and that was it.
Cool. That's a cool name.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to use it now. But, like, that's as far as I got. And I closed the Word document and deleted it because it's, useless. But,
well, no, it's all useless. You got Sash.
But my point is, like, I fully sat down on day one when I was kind of feeling not too rough and was like, yep, I'm going to write a whole play in this. I'm going to learn all my lines for all my things. In saying that, I did learn most of my lines for most of my things, with the exception of this show, in fact, unfortunately. That was the one I kind of backburned. But, whoopsie daisies.
Okay. It's a long one, this one.
But, yeah, like, I didn't, like, to be productive didn't need to be writing a whole play. Or, like, I was like, I'm going to work out and exercise every day for, like, a couple of hours. Not while you're sick, bro. Don't do that. Just chill out. Have a stretch if you're going to do anything. Just, like,
watch your friends in the bath. Watch Friends in the bath.
And bum around in your pajamas.
Yeah.
And just have a good time. Anyway.
And that also extends outside of just being sick physically with COVID. It's also a mental thing, right? Like, sometimes, we're talking about bad creative days and bad mental health days and things like that as well. Like, to put pressure on yourself when you're in a state like that is just more harmful in a way. So never feel bad about spending time. You said, right, your body knows when it wants to be doing something else. And so to just trust that there's a reason why I want to sit down on the couch today. There's a reason why suddenly I feel like I want to go and do some exercise.
Exactly.
Like, that's what I found.
Your body knows.
The last week work has been kind of on and off. And so the days that I have had off, I've had so much more time. And like after, and I'm always like, I wish I had time off. And then I get time off and I get 2 hours to do the thing that I wanted to do. And then I finish it and I'm like, okay, now. What am I going to do now? It turns out the thing that I wanted to do didn't require more than like 2 hours of work. And so I was like, I'm just been bumming around at home and I'm like, what do I do? And I was like, well, I feel like exercising. So I went for a run and I've been running now semi-frequently when I'm not working. Because it's just like, I just need something to do, and my brain was in that mood, and so I was like, I remember what Ari says. I want to make sure that I take advantage of this moment and just grab everything I need. And my headphones were dead because I haven't used them in like 4 months, so I had to find other headphones because I knew if I was waiting for them to charge, I'd do something else and then not go for a run. So I found other headphones around the house, and I was like, I just have to take me. And then I went and I ran, and I was like, okay, good. I did this successful thing for today, and that's only because like I was just so bored. That's different when you're stuck inside, but it's...
Although, it's interesting. Like, even now, I've been out of ISO for a couple of days now, or like 4 or 5 days now. And it's interesting how my brain prioritizes time and how it's sort of like, so I've been going to work, obviously, and which is taking up a lot more of my day than I like previously. And so little things like having to do an analysis, like a scene analysis for a class or something, or needing to, learn a few lines. In my head, I'm like, oh no, I can't do that till I have free time. Like on a day, I'll do that like on a morning when I have off.
Yeah.
But like, there's literally nothing stopping. Like I finish work at 5 o'clock. I can get home and do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't take, like you said, like it doesn't take you long. Like it will take me half an hour. Why do I need the whole day to be free in order to do something that I have to do?
Yeah, exactly.
And then I'll end up like, watching another few episodes of Friends, and I'm like, I definitely could have done the scene analysis.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take a lot of time to do some stuff. And I think I need to get that into my brain sometimes, that like, just because something is like, a minor inconvenience in my timing or like schedule or my desire to just lie in bed, it doesn't mean it's not, it's going to be like literally a half an hour detour from, getting to bed.
I think that's an important thing now. If I worked more days than I am currently, I could probably still do all the things that I did this week that I wanted to. It's just so weird that you need to have that mindset of, I need to have
a whole day or like a whole morning,
and time off isn't coming home from work at the end of the day. That doesn't count as time off, because at that point you're so tired that you just want to
even
unwind.
If you come home like in the middle of the day,
that
day's
gone.
No,
that day's gone. That day's finished. I'm going to do nothing for 8 hours. Because
I feel that. Anyway,
it's hard. But I mean, I've had a successful writing couple of weeks, I have to say. I've been kind of bouncing back and forth between 2 scripts that I'm writing. One of them is this romance, the Eden High.
Oh, I love this one. This is my favorite thing.
Have I talked about it on the podcast?
I don't think you've talked about it. It's currently my favorite script he's written thus far.
So there's 2 scripts that I'm running at the moment. One of them is called Eden High, which came to me a while ago, which was, Eden, as in Garden of Eden. So it follows Adam and Eve, but they're high school students. And then there's a new transfer student who comes in whose name is Lucy, as in Lucifer, who is this kind of like really hot woman. And she tempts Eve, and it's this whole like kind of replaying of the Garden of Eden, but it's 2 high school kids and a sexy lady. So it's fun, and it's been this really kind of
it's so good.
Interesting thing that began as like this kind of cheesy Heathers type romance, but has kind of evolved into this really like deep introspective look at like relationships and like being a queer person. As much as I'm consulting with people that I know that are queer, because I want to make sure that I'm doing this correctly, because I don't want to I'm not a queer person, and I don't want to write. And I want to make sure that I'm writing from a place that is genuine and not me trying to replicate the experience of somebody else.
Exactly.
But it's still really cool because it's a fun
really
story,
cool.
and I think it's a fun way of like thinking about it. So that's one of the projects. The other one I've been kind of writing more recently because I've been going to the cricket a lot and playing cricket a lot, and like it sparked from me sitting in the not in the nets, in the change rooms, because I play with my dad's team and all of his Sri Lankan friends. But there's one point where we had somebody fill in, and they came to the change rooms, and one of my dad's friends was like, "Oh, did you play cricket in Sri Lanka?" And the guy was like, "Yeah, he's a young guy from like late 20s." And he's like, "Oh, what school did you play for?" And he's like, "Oh, I played for this school." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, my dad played for that school." And it was like immediately there was this connection between them, and I was like, "Oh, wow, that's so interesting," because like that's in Sri Lanka, the schools are so much of like your identity, and like in terms of like sport as well. And that's like, it's like Hogwarts houses, but real. It's like, oh, I went to Trinity. Oh, so did you? Cool. Where we have a connection now. And it's also got me thinking back on this script that I wrote during the 2020 isolation period, where you and I were both in this class. It was a playwriting class.
Oh, that's such a good class.
It was a very good class. One of the writing exercises we did was to combine 2 people that you know into one, and then write a character bio based on them. And so the only 2 people that came to my head, because I was bored, was my dad and you. Yeah. And so what happened? So what happened was this this immigrant woman, 40-something years old, very kind of like work focused. Yeah. Who has connections to a country that she hasn't been to in a long time, but has kind of rejected it. And so I was like, that's actually really cool.
Actually really interesting.
I'm like, wow, how did this come about? So what it is, it follows this Sri Lankan woman who's like in her mid 40s, and she left the country when she was in like her early 20s because she went to study elsewhere, and also because of the civil war that was happening at the time, very dangerous, which is why my whole family, all of my family left. And so it follows her life basically, and she's like a Nobel Prize winning scientist. Sorry, I had the computer there.
I panicked there for a second.
And she's a Nobel Prize winning scientist, right? And so she's
that bit's clearly based off of me.
That's you, yeah, for sure. But she's very focused on her work, and she calls family every now and again and stuff like that. But she hasn't been back to Sri Lanka since she left. And then her sister is getting married, and so she is kind of brought back because her sister's like, "Oh, you got to come back to the wedding," and she's like, "I don't know, I haven't been in so long," and she kind of makes up the excuse not to go because she's like, "I'm focusing on my work," even though her workmates are like, "You can't, like, we'll be done. You can totally go back to Sri Lanka," but she doesn't want to go back. And then so whatever, she kind of brushes it aside until Easter. So it's kind of set 2018, 2019, because in 2019 there were the bombings in Sri Lanka, where like a bunch of places in the country were bombed by Islamic extremists, and her sister in the story is one of the victims of the bombings. So she has to go back now for the funeral. And it's this idea of her, like, she was not going to go to see her sister, and that could have been like, and now she has to go back because his sister. Yeah. And so I've stopped writing because I'm going to go to Sri Lanka we're hoping to go back to Sri Lanka in like June-ish. And I want to write it all there. Because awesome. It'll be like that experience of me being there for the first time in 20 years, which I don't remember the last time I went. Yeah. But that whole culture shock that she has now going back to the country she has never been to in like 20 years, and how much has changed. And like her whole like extended family who live all over the world coming back for this one moment. And I was like, that's also really cool.
Yeah.
So those are the things that I'm kind of bouncing back and forth between. I've now hit the Sri Lanka script to the point where she leaves to go to Sri Lanka. So I'm like, I can't write this
That's
anymore.
Like perfect timing.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm stopping now until I go back.
Move.
But this,
cool.
The high school. Sorry, this has become pitch talk now.
Yeah.
But this
is like theater content. So sorry to all you Spotify listeners who missed out on this.
I don't know if this is theater content, but yeah. So
this is theater content.
those are the fun couple of projects that I'm currently working on in my own time. I think they're both pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's that. I've been sticking to this 5-page writing thing, which has been good, but to bounce between them has been really good because there are moments where I'll hit a blank in one and then go to the other one and hit a blank in one and come back and like switch around. So that's the other thing is like, if you're writing out there, my tip to you is to have multiple projects or even any creative, right? Eventually you kind of get really tunnel visioned on something and you can like not, and you need to take some fresh air and either do something else or go to some creative work, come back and look at it with fresh eyes, which we've talked about before.
Yeah.
So having multiple projects open is not, as long as you don't have more than like 3 at once, because then it becomes too many. But having multiple projects that you're working on at one time isn't, I don't think, a detriment. I think it's a good thing to keep yourself busy and to always be like thinking
Don't you
about
have
new
like
things.
7 creative projects going at the moment?
Well, I mean, like in terms of writing, I'm not writing 7 different things. I'm writing 3 different things.
Are. But
okay,
sure.
well, true.
I was like in my head counting all the things that you've like mentioned to me. I'm like, yeah, that's way more than 3.
More than 3.
But sure.
Some of them are finished, so that's that.
There you
go. But yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, how's your week been? I normally start this segment going, so how's your week been? You keep telling me to stop doing that, and for me to start talking about my week first. But how has your week
we
been?
did talk about your week, which has been inside. My week has just been busy. I went to the cricket, and it's been very kind of busy week doing things like that. But that's also been a good, like, that also kind of sparked the writing for that show, because I went to see the Sri Lanka Australia T20 matches, and they won on Sunday, which was very nice. They haven't won many.
By they you mean Sri Lanka?
By they I mean Sri Lanka.
Just preface.
Yeah, that's true. I'm happily saying they, like,
yeah, like that. People know what that means.
Like the Sri Lanka, like the cricket Venn diagram again. But
I had someone comment about how we talk a lot about cricket, so maybe we should start putting that in our bio. We also talk cricket. Sorry, question mark.
We're fairly unqualified in cricket. Talk cricket.
Because someone was like, you guys talk about cricket a lot, and I was like, oh yeah, and we kind of do. We've literally mentioned it like every single week, even if it's just like in passing.
Sometimes we mention the fact that we haven't mentioned cricket this episode,
which makes it worse. So I'm sorry that we somehow. No. I thought we were going to get through this episode without talking about cricket.
This is candid. This is what the YouTube people come for. It's like, it's a look into our lives, and cricket is a part of our lives that we do. So it's not like we can just stop it and not talk about it ever. So
yeah, I mean, my cricket season's finished, so.
Yeah, I got 2 more weeks.
Okay, well, there you go.
Oh, that's what...
You probably won't be hearing cricket after about 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, until... Maybe ever again. Ever again. So we'll see.
That's when you'll start hearing about the next sport that we decide to embrace this.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I don't know.
I was
actually... This is what happened in lockdown as well. I started thinking about whether or not I wanted to go back to soccer.
Oh, yeah?
Like, heavily considered it. And then I was like, I'm probably just going to get injured again, and then I'm going to be sad. Because that's what happened.
I mean, you can play one season, but even then,
it took me one season to get injured.
Okay,
it takes me one game to get injured.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about how much I miss soccer, because we were. Oh yeah, this is an here we go. Segue into another thing we can talk about. That we had an event that was themed, or we were going to have an event that was themed. What you wanted to be when you grew up, like what you want to be when you grow up, and I was like thinking, and I was like, I have no idea what I wanted to be when I grew up. And I messaged Aaron. I was like, do you know what you want to do when you grow up? And he was like,
I knew. I wanted to be an archaeologist because I watched Indiana Jones, and I thought archaeology was like whipping and going to Egypt. Turns out it's just sitting in a lab and like dusting fossils.
And then
I was like
before that, you were like, I wanted to be Buzz.
Oh yeah, before that, I wanted to be Buzz.
He had a very, very vivid memory of what he wanted to be when he grew up.
I didn't want to be in space. I wanted to be Buzz Lightyear. But like, which, I mean, again, going back to this as a kid thing, the new Lightyear movie's coming out. As a 21-year-old man, I will be there. I will be there first day. Anyway.
And so I was like, okay, well, come on, Ari. You can do this. So I sat down and I had a big think, and I was like, all right, put myself back in my shoes as a child, and what was I thinking?
I don't think they'd fit anymore.
I still have my first ever pair of soccer boots on a completely unrelated note. But
that's completely unrelated.
And they were really cute.
Yeah.
And they're like falling apart. And I couldn't think of anything. I was like, no, have no idea. So I went to my dear mother and was like, Do you have any idea? Like, what did I want to be when I was a kid? You know, when they ask you in like prep and stuff, what did I write down? What was on my little prep graduation poster? She was like, nothing. And I was like, what? She's like, you wanted to be nothing. And I was like, what? This can't be true. Every kid wants to be something. But apparently I had zero aspirations to be anything. And Dad said the same thing. He like that there was, I guess credit to them for not like pushing me into anything or like having any. Like, there was definitely that no instance from their part was it like, you know, you should be this or you should be that. And maybe that's why I had very little, you know, but I just can't believe that I didn't see or hear anything that like made me want to, like, other than a soccer player. The only thing I can remember ever being like, oh yeah, that's cool, was a soccer player. But
that's cool, yeah.
But I don't think I wanted to be a soccer player. I just wanted to play soccer, like, which is very different in my opinion. So I was so stumped. I was like, the first thing I can ever remember wanting to actively be was I wanted to be on Mythbusters. And that wasn't even wanting to be something. I just wanted to be on Mythbusters. Mm-hmm. So I just, and everyone else I asked was like, oh yeah, I wanted to be, you know, a chef or like a princess, or everyone has an answer out there. But I don't.
Yo, leave in the comments below what you wanted to be when you grew up. But yeah,
give me some ideas so that I can have a cool thing that I wanted to
go back in time and tell your past self.
Although I guess maybe that's why I have so much confusion about what I want to be, because I still don't know.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I mean, I've known you for a long time now, and when I first met you, I don't think you spoke maybe 4 or 5 words to me in the first like month that I knew you. And I it wouldn't surprise me if you knew exactly what you wanted to be and just didn't tell anyone, you know?
Yeah, that's
just because like
true. I didn't,
you know, you're just a very shy person,
that
and so I wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me if you were like, I know exactly. You just didn't feel like you just never voiced it.
And I was definitely very shy as a little.
I didn't know you when you were that
funny. No. But when I have a friend that thought I didn't speak English for like the first 2 months of knowing me.
There's some racial undertones there. I don't know if we should get into.
But she just didn't think I spoke. Because I didn't say anything, and I was like, no, I was just definitely shy. Yeah. I still am pretty shy.
Yeah. And I want to go into acting.
I know why.
It's this, you know, it's dichotomy, wanting to be seen and also
the ability to separate me from not me, and I can talk as not me, but if I'm me,
do a me role conflict, you know. Me.
Anyway, so yeah, that's just a fun little fact about not knowing what I wanted to be when I was younger. Because,
I remember my life being crushed when I found out like that I couldn't be lightsaber, I couldn't be Buzz Lightyear, and then I couldn't be an archaeologist. Well, I could be, but archaeology was boring. Yeah, because I was I love dinosaurs as a kid, and I still love dinosaurs now. I think they're pretty cool. Mm-hmm. But like, because I like Jurassic Park, you know, like that was the dream, is you could like be Jurassic Park, but in real life. Turns out Jurassic Park isn't real. It's not a real thing.
What?
And they're just like,
spoiler alert, hold up.
sorry to all you Jurassic Park stans out there, but turns out Jurassic Park is not real.
But like, I don't even have a memory of having like I'm gonna use the word fantastical or fantasy, a fantasy thing that I wanted to be either. Like it wasn't like I'd ever like I didn't watch a lot of TV as a kid or a lot of like movies or anything, so I guess maybe I didn't have that, but I never had that, like, it wasn't even like I had a cartoon character that I was like, yeah, I want to be them. Yeah. You know? Other than Mulan. I can remember watching Mulan and going, I want to be Mulan. But I didn't watch Mulan until I was like 13 or something, or 14. Yeah. So that's still, like, I want to know what 4-year-old Ari wanted to be. You know, I want to know what 4-year-old Ari went to prep going, yep, you know, this is my life purpose. Yeah. Yep. Who knows? We'll never know.
Until time travel exists.
Unless I find some like long lost diary. Wait, can you write it for you know, you're learning how to do letters at 4. Unless I find some long lost voice memo from 4-year-old Ari.
There's probably some tape somewhere.
Yeah, you know, surely there's like some hit like video of me being like, I want to be a dun dun dun. Cause
I want to be happy.
Yeah, that probably was me. Cute. Or like, that would have been me. I just want to have fun. I just want to laugh.
I want to have friends.
I just want cuddles. That would 100% have been me as a 4-year-old. Anyway, after that side note,
I think we're good.
Yeah, I don't have anything else to add to this.
Things. I'm glad we've eventually
out.
found more things to talk about. But
That's me done for the week.
thank you for joining us.
But also look after my voice. I feel like
True.
it disappears after a couple of hours. That's the one thing I've kept from the old COVID experience is my voice doesn't really last as long as it
because
used to.
I've noticed that post isolation in general, even like
True,
last
speaking
last
much.
couple of years, I just didn't speak as much as I do now. That there are moments where my voice will get really croaky after a day or two, or like I'll go out to a party and then I'll come home and be like, wow, like I really, my throat really, like I'm not used to talking that loudly. But yeah, it's
but
weird.
I think mine genuinely is from like the symptoms.
Oh yeah,
'Cause I can feel like
probably in that
I
case,
genuinely like feel it going
in
like,
the last
oh,
week,
it's
but
running
yeah.
out of like puff.
But well done for lasting today.
That's what she said.
Dun, dun, dun. Anyway,
We did it. But thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Hopefully you enjoyed our new location and our rambles for today.
We might be back in our old location next week, or we might be back
Who's
here
to
because it's
say?
kind of cool. Who knows?
But until
Other than
next
that,
time,
we'll catch you later.
alligator.